Yes. Yes, Marcy, it's over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And a good morning to you all. And thanks for the opportunity to speak today in this learning and teaching webinar. I'm Martha Karunakar and I teach English at SSN College of Engineering. I did my undergraduate study in psychology, criminology, and English literature, and postgraduate studies in English literature. I did my PhD at the Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Madras, in the field of children's literature. I have about 20 years of teaching experience, and I'm delighted to do this presentation. Today's talk will highlight on the love-hate relationship between teaching and learning of the English language and engineering students. On the one hand, English is, just give me a minute. I'll change my slide. Yeah, so on the one hand, English is indispensable for technical communication, and on the other, the students express apathy towards learning and practicing the language skills. This talk aims to highlight the challenges faced by a teacher of English in an engineering college. It also illustrates how using creative and innovative methods can bridge this gap. By way of introduction, I'd like to begin this talk by addressing the problems faced by English language teachers in engineering classrooms in the ESL context, that is English as a second language context. The talk aims to demonstrate the advantages of applying creative and innovative strategies, materials, methods, and activities in teaching the English language in technical academic environments. Here, I'd like to draw your attention to the context in which we teach. So we teach English as a second language to the tertiary level students. The context in which teaching learning happens is perhaps unique to us as Indians, particularly because we are a multilingual country. For example, most of my students here at the college can speak about 3 to 4 languages, like say Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada. That is, if they are from the neighboring southern states. They may also be able to speak in Hindi and of course English. In this context, English is taught as a second language. English is accepted globally, and particularly in a country like India, much importance is given to English language teaching and learning. Instructors use various ways of inculcating a love for the language and fostering learners' motivation to master it. Many methods and activities have been used over the years and have been found useful. Although teaching practitioners have over time emphasized learning the language using memorization of grammar rules and syntactic structures, and later on the use of language in real life-like situations, the focus now has moved to creating interesting and motivating situations for the students to use the language. Like in teaching every subject, there are a couple of challenges that we face as teachers of English. Firstly, I'd like to talk about the heterogeneous classrooms. Proficiency in the English language has never been a criterion for admission to an engineering program. So the L2 proficiency of the student group, by L2 I mean second language, L1 is referred to as the first language of a student. So the L2 proficiency of the student group here in our college can range anywhere from the CEFR, that is the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. So CEFR A2 to C1. And this is determined by the entry level test that is mandatory for all students who are admitted into the college BE BTech program. This group comprises of students from government rural schools where the medium of instruction is predominantly in the regional language. We also have lateral entry students, that is students who've completed their diploma and are still coming to grips with the use of the English language. Then we have vocational students who drop a subject like maybe physics or chemistry in their 11th and 12th grade to take up a vocational course, maybe like welding or graphics and multimedia, etc. And they are similar in the level of English language use abilities with the lateral entry students. Then we have students also from government aided schools, but they are from the city. But even here, students do not get many opportunities for English language production. Then we also have students from the Chief Minister's 7.5 scheme who are from government aided schools and their ability to use English is quite limited. So the majority of these students fall within the A2 to B1 category. And then in addition to these students, we also have students from urban areas, but these students are mostly from the city elite English medium schools, and they can freely use English even inside the classroom or outside the classroom when they talk to each other. So they are quite comfortable using the language. So these diverse backgrounds of students lead to a similar diversity in their language, English language abilities. The second challenge that we face is that in an engineering classroom, interaction among students and between students and teacher may not be encouraged for whatever reason. So when they come to an English class to talk, and when we teachers ask them to interact with each other or interact with the teacher, I think to make that change over is a bit difficult for the students. They generally keep quiet and they're reluctant to talk. This may be because of the shame and embarrassment associated with making mistakes. Then the third challenge that we face as teachers of English is the mother tongue interference. Even those students who are comfortable speaking the language are not willing to participate in language production activities for fear of rejection by their teachers and peers, the anxiety of being judged by others, which results in a lack of self-confidence. Then the fourth challenge that we face is using English as a foreign language. Although in the current context, English is a second language, for most students, English is like a foreign language, and difficulty in understanding and producing the language can be seen at different levels for individual students. Problems with understanding and speaking in the English language can be seen during classroom participation while comprehending their subject lectures, because lectures happen in English, and while communicating with their teachers and peers and during their day-to-day conversations. Then the fifth challenge is speaking as an activity is seldom practiced in classrooms. So this may be due to the teachers' felt need for maintaining classroom decorum, avoiding disturbance to neighboring classes. And in a class where the number of students, when there are many students in a class, they tend to make what we call as happy noise. And this may be a factor that has to be dealt with. And mostly, I think teachers discourage students from talking and interacting in the classroom. And in addition, there is also not much opportunity to test speaking skills in the current tertiary level curriculum. Another challenge is the attitude of the learners. So generally, there is a sense of apathy towards English. Students know learning English is important for them, but they may prefer to give importance to their core subjects. But ironically, during placements, stress is laid on the communicative abilities of the students, in addition to the sound technical knowledge. Hence, the teacher is always aware that he or she needs to focus on enhancing employability skills along with communicative proficiency. Another challenge is learning English as a subject and not as a language. That is, merely acquiring theoretical competence and rote learning will not suffice. If you talk to the students, most of them would say that their aim is to just pass the exam, just like any other subject. They study English like maybe physics or engineering, graphics, etc., and not learn it like a language. So hence, in the context of all these challenges, it is crucial for the teacher to create a congenial atmosphere for English language learning and production. So these are some of the teaching strategies that we have tried and tested and found useful, and hence we have adopted them. To make English, to make teaching learning engaging and to enhance the learner experience of the English language in the class, several strategies are adopted. I will talk about a few of them in detail and the others only briefly. Of course, we have a syllabus to follow and to complete, and these activities that I will be talking about only supplement the primary teaching activity. The first one I'd like to talk about is the use of videos as a resource, because I have personally tried this and I have found it to be quite effective. Integrating videos into English language teaching and learning, particularly videos of TED Talks or Toastmasters winning speeches, other famous speeches like I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King Jr., Charlie Chaplin's The Final Speech from the Great Dictator, and several more. It is found that building activities around them encourages language production across student group. We have even watched Dr. Sashi Tharoor, particularly the reparation speech, to instill confidence among the students as to how an Indian, and that too a non-native speaker at that, is able to hold his ground among several native speakers of the language. Usually the TED videos picked for viewing may or may not be by the native speakers of the language. We have used videos like Pranav Mistri's Sixth Sense Technology, and this diversity of linguistic backgrounds to a certain extent puts the student listeners in a comfort zone. One other video that the students found interesting is Matt Cutts, Try Something New for 30 Days, where the speaker challenges to try something new for 30 days, however difficult, and then he says that it will become a habit. So in terms of pre-class activity, it is necessary to create a context for the students before watching the video, like some maybe a warm-up activity. Perhaps you can engage in a quick discussion on the topic. Then the in-class activity could be an information gap filling exercise, and post-class activity could be a summary writing, and you can engage them in activities like this. Several speaking and writing activities were built around it. One entire class tried something new for 30 days, and at the end of 30 days, they came back to class with a short 2-minute presentation and also a report writing. One student I remember decided to bring home cooked food for lunch for 30 days. One said he decided to sleep early by 10 p.m. And one more student collected used books from friends and family, and in order to donate it to an orphanage. So along with learning the language, the class also enjoyed engaging with associated activities, which they said was fulfilling. Then using prize-winning Toastmasters speeches, especially Dhananjaya Hitrachi's speech, I see something in you, but I do not know what it is. And also Muhammad Katani's The Power of Words is very popular with our students. Perhaps it is because of their accent that is closer home, and also because they use anecdotes that the students can relate to, that these videos are popular with the students. Then we also watch short video clips of popular movies. One effective clip is from the movie English Vinglish. I do not know if you have watched it, but then As the tagline suggests, this movie is about a belittled and insecure Indian housewife who enrolls in an English language class. Although it brings back memories of the long-running series Mind Your Language of the 1980s, this movie brings to light the difficulties faced by people who cannot communicate in English in a country like the US. The clip used in the class is the cafe scene, where the protagonist is ridiculed for her inability to understand and communicate in English. The words like Nescoffee. Nescoffee is it means Nescafe, which is a coffee brand, and it has become synonymous with coffee itself. So there is a usage of the term Nescoffee in the movie, in this cafe scene particularly, and this is a predominantly a cultural term associated particularly with South Indians, which the waitress mistakes as nice coffee, Nice, nice coffee. And this resonates with the student audience. And also in the cafe scene, there is a choice overload in terms of water. That is, the waitress asks her, do you want sparkling or still water? The different types of coffee that she rattles off, and the fillings that is used for the sandwiches. So to the point of vexation, this was another interesting detail that the students could relate to. So these videos also have so I've put down the YouTube link there in case any of you are interested in watching this movie. It's a brilliant movie. I think you should watch if you haven't watched. And this particular coffee scene is the link that is provided there, the YouTube link. So if you want to watch, perhaps you can watch this. Yes, so these videos also have a subtitle option, which helps limited English proficiency learners to read and understand what is being spoken. Generally, pre, while, and post viewing activities are given to the students, and they are continuously assessed using classroom observation, language production in classroom. So these activities are given to them and they are assessed. So the findings show that using videos as a resource in classroom improved English language production in terms of speaking, and it also encouraged learners to use language confidently. So another method that I'd like to talk about is the use of comics and graphic novels as a free and voluntary reading tool. The books are made available to the students, but there is no compulsion. We don't compel them to read, but just make the books available to them. Comics is an art form in which all aspects of the narrative are represented by pictures. There are linguistic images, and all these are encapsulated in a sequence of juxtaposed panels and pages. While graphic novels, they are longer than the typical comic book, and they most often feature self-contained rather than continuing stories, but they have slightly complex plots. Studies done by Krashen and Terrell, Whitehurst and Falco et al. Have shown that the more one reads or is read to, the more it contributes to language improvement. And we as teachers believe that reading also contributes to better comprehension, development of vocabulary, better writing, and a certain mastery over the language. The interplay of pictures and text in comics and graphic novels acts as a scaffold to help readers understand the narrative. Comics and graphic novels, being both visual and verbal in form, appeal to the students as a teaching learning material. So to homogenize the reading material vis-a-vis the social cultural differences of the students, a range of reading material is made available to the students from both Indian and international series. So this is a picture of Spider-Man, Spider-Man India. It is a graphic novel. This is an attempt by the Indian authors. And here you have Pavitra Prabhakar, who's a namesake of Peter Parker. And he saves the city of Mumbai from the local crime lord Nalin Oberoi. So you can see there's a slight difference in the dress that Spider-Man is wearing here, because this is Indianized version of Spider-Man. And the authors are of this graphic novel are Jeevan Kang, Suresh Sitaraman, and Sharad Devrajan of Gotham Entertainment. They have tried to successfully reinvent the popular Spider-Man series in a new environment. And some series that were suggested by us to the students also included popular Indian comics like Amar Chitrakatha, a series by editor Anant Pai of the India Book House, which has an authentic Indian content with a retelling of mythology and legend. Tinkle comic series, also from the same publisher, has interesting characters that the students can relate to, like Akbar and Birbal. Most of our children have grown up listening to these stories of Akbar and Birbal, Tenali Raman, Supandi, Shikari Shambhu, Kalia the Crow, and so on. And so these characters leave a lasting impression on the minds of the readers. Another series that we used with the students was the Geronimo Stilton series. And many words in this are based on word play. Like the word Mount Everest is written as Mouse Everest. And the use of the expression fab mouse to accentuate the role of the mouse protagonist, Geronimo. So these are some examples. And even the collocation words like lights, camera, action here is converted to lights, camera, and Stilton. Instead of action, here it is Stilton. So this is done for effect, perhaps. And this the readers thought was quite fascinating and a novel way to make new collocations which made sense within the context for them. Some students said that the picture word combination helped them guess the meaning of the words in the context because of the picture associated with it, even though they otherwise did not know the meaning of the word. And repetition of such instances over time can contribute to vocabulary building. So the next time the word appears in a context with no pictures, still the individual may be able to recognize the word and comprehend its meaning. So this leads to vocabulary enhancement. And it is believed that a good reader eventually becomes a good writer. So based on the students' reading of these comics and graphic novels, two kinds of activities were administered to record language learning. In the first one, sheets with semi-filled word balloons were given, and students were asked to fill them in using their imagination and creativity. Words omitted included articles, prepositions, interjections, and so on. And so this is one example that I've just put up. These were done by the students. So give them these sheets and ask them, give them a basic kind of a story, and then ask them to fill up the these speech bubbles and omit some important either article or preposition, interjection, and then see how they fare in this. So to review the ability of the students, even few important meaning-making words were excluded. And some basic rules are chalked out by the teacher, like the necessity of the use of article or preposition in every word balloon. So they found this quite interesting, they told us later on. The next one is the other activity that we gave the students was this. Students were challenged to create their own graphic stories by filling in. That is, after we give them, first we gave them the graphic novels and comic books to read. And once that was done, we gave them these activities to check if reading these storybooks helped them in any way, or did it help them at all. So an A4 sheet containing an empty 9-panel grid was distributed to each student, and they were asked to design their own sequential art for narration in the form of free writing. So through their word choice, grammar use, meaningful cohesion of words, closure of the story, their language ability was tested. And a framework was also handed out to the students within which they had to work in order to prevent any confusion. The multimedia like nature of these texts and the visual content of these comic books and graphic novels initiated even the reluctant readers to start reading. The comics and graphic novels provided double reinforcement by leveraging the picture with words and gave momentum to the reader in picking up words, making meaning out of them, and even completing several books in the experimental time frame, although there was no compulsion. So for instance, the various sound making words like few, boom, room, and these words are displayed in various font size. And this can be used to show either an increase or decrease in the volume. And this the students said helped them visualize and hear the exact sound or exact volume of the sound. And students agreed that reading these books was a lot of fun as they could see the various expressions of the characters. Some said that they could almost hear the characters speak to each other. So these two activities I discussed in detail, that is use of comics and graphic novels and use of videos. Now, these are some of the other activities that we generally use in the English class. Activities done to improve the speaking skills. We use group discussion, participation in group discussion and mock interviews. And this is done in order to help them during their placement drives. We also encourage role plays with exchanges of appropriate dialogues, speaking activities like maybe reviewing a movie that they have recently watched, and so on. And another challenge that we come across in our classes are when we have classes in the afternoons, and particularly in the weekends, Friday afternoons, they're already in the weekend mood, and they are reluctant to pay attention, or they're reluctant to listen to a class. And in order to break the monotony, I sometimes use the activity of Simon Says. And initially they are reluctant, but and they groan to get out of their seats. But once they start the activity, they participate and they have a lot of fun. Another activity is storytelling. This is also an effective activity we found. It is used to enhance language experience at two levels. One, when the teacher narrates, and two, when the learner is encouraged to create mental imagery and weave a story of his own. In both the instances, storytelling acts as the agency that helps students internalize the patterns of language without much difficulty. We also encourage individual and group presentations. For the first year students, we usually give them an opportunity to choose their own topic so that they are comfortable talking. And for the third year students, we usually ask them to make a group presentation based on a technical project that they are currently involved in. Yes. So I think there are various errors. There are various ways in which we can correct errors. One that I have tried and tested over the years, which has borne results, is this. That is peer correction. And I have always felt that peer correction is effective. Do not address a particular student in the class. Instead, address the whole class, or create a task or an activity around the errors in the next session of your class. This, I think, will definitely help them. This next slide is that of benefits of using videos and comics in the classroom. Most important teaching objective in viewing videos is that students are constantly exposed to the English language, including its accent, intonation, pronunciation, grammar. And it is believed that the more one is exposed to the target language, the easier it becomes to master it. Viewing videos not only supports students increased comprehension, but it also creates better intake of vocabulary and development of grammar. The positive impact of using such activities on language ability is measured by the participants' rich and varied use of vocabulary, their ability to construct sentences with minimal errors, accuracy in grammar usage, correct sentence structure, reading speed, and efficient comprehension. Comics, they offer language in small chunks, and this makes it easier for the learner to assimilate and register what he has read. So whether it is watching videos or reading comics or engaging in group discussions or role plays, it is believed that the effective filters that that is Krashen's term for emotional variables that prevent learning, these effective filters are in a lowered state, and this promotes affability, decreases anxiety and tension, and thus provides a conducive atmosphere for English language learning and production. So we in the department have introduced a listening component for the continuous assessment test. In addition, we have also included a speaking component as part of internal assessment. So these are some of the measures that we as a department have consciously taken with a view to help improve the language skills and competencies of the ESL students. Now, some limitations of using these methods is that we cannot use it as one size fits all. Mostly, you have to use it as a trial and error method, because what works in one class may not necessarily work in another class. And secondly, the teacher can handhold the students only to a certain extent. Then the students have to carry it forward. They themselves have to carry it forward. The teacher can only facilitate a non-threatening and non-judgmental environment for the language learning to happen. And also the teacher can create an atmosphere for increased student motivation. But then it's up to the student to make this work, to carry it forward, and have the motivation to learn the language for language sake and not learn it as a subject. So in conclusion, I'd like to say that it would be perhaps too ambitious to claim that the students reached the C1 or C2 level after these interventions. We engage in these activities in order to break the monotony of conventional teaching methodology, and also as a supplement to the primary teaching activity. Although the relationship between English and engineering students appears, or it comes forth as a love-hate relationship, the best we as teachers can do is to use activities like these to make language interesting, engaging, and effective, particularly in technical academic environments. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha, for a very interesting presentation. If anybody has a question, if you can write them down in the chat, that would be great. I just want to add like a few more things. Here at Griffith, when we teach engineering program, we have actually a good number of international students. And before COVID, we had, I think, up to like, I don't know, 40, like even like 40%. We had international students, and some of them are good at English, but some of them just, I don't know. I mean, they feel very shy, and maybe because of the either skills, maybe their like level of English, so they don't really talk too much, so they don't ask questions, and sometimes it's very difficult to kind of get them engaged, because they just kind of like probably don't know what to say. And also another thing that I've noticed is that when we have these international students, they kind of in groups, like from like their country, you know, like from like one country, they're going to be in one group. and they're going to talk to each other in their native language. So they don't actually practice English,
Yes, that happens
I'm
even
not
in
sure.
our
Yeah.
college, because we have students particularly from southern states. And so you have students from like Andhra Pradesh, all of them in one group, and they usually talk in Telugu. And then you have students from Tamil Nadu, they resort to speaking in Tamil. So that happens even here. But then we consciously tell them that unless you mingle with others and go out of your group and then talk in English, not only inside the classroom, but also outside the classroom, like maybe in the canteen or in your hostel rooms, or when you're traveling with your friends, try and talk in English. But then they always have the fear of being made fun of when they talk in English, or in a classroom particularly, they are afraid of being judged for if they make mistakes. What will my friends say? What will my peers say? Because ours is a very mixed group, and so we have students from different backgrounds, as I told you. So that's one of the challenges that we face as teachers of English. So I think that happens everywhere, getting
Yeah.
into these groups and talking in their native
Yeah.
language.
Yeah, this is what we have here at Griffith and probably in other parts of Australia. I have a question from Carol. So Carol was asking at what stage engineering students pick up the technical vocabulary and in what kind of forms? So if you start teaching them, let's say from like year one, right? So do you guys teach them like technical vocabulary and things like that?
Yes, we do teach them. Our English paper is titled Technical English. So we teach them in the first semester. And now that our college has got the autonomous status, we have the opportunity to tailor make the syllabus based on the needs of the students. So our paper is titled, the paper that we offer our first years is titled Technical English. And so we have a lot of technical communication and words that we teach, technical vocabulary. We teach them writing instructions, technical instructions. We teach them to write recommendations and writing SOPs. And so all these things are included in the syllabus. Technical vocabulary is also taught to them, how you can make sentences using these technical words, what they mean, things like that.
Thank you, Martha.
Just also want to add that at Griffith we have, we used to have like many Indian students in our master degree. So we have project management and civil engineering master degree. So we actually I used to have like so many students before COVID. I think now we have like fewer. And most of them spoke like very good English, and they could just present their like thoughts, ideas. So that was pretty good. So do they need to take a test like before they go and study abroad? Is there,
yes, they do. They do take tests like TOEFL and GRE, and so they do take these competitive international exams. And most of them do quite well. We also teach them in these to a certain extent. We help them in these in order to prepare for these exams. So they do quite well, most of the students. And even these students who find it challenging in the first year, if they are sort of motivated to learn the language, which many are, and I think the end result is they come out quite successful after the fourth year. When they sit for placements, they're placed in quite good companies with a good pay package. And even we have something called as the rural scholarship scheme. It's called SPURS, which the college does as a philanthropic activity. And we take in 25 students from rural schools every year, and a scholarship is given so that their education and their boarding, lodging, everything is free. So these students, they do extremely well. And by the time they pass out of college, I think they're almost on par with the other students, anyone else, and they get placed into good companies like Ashok Leyland. I do not know, I mean, if you're familiar with these companies, like some of my mechanical engineering students got into Ashok Leyland. There's another student who got into a civil engineering student who got into Doe company and things like that. So they do quite well.
Okay. Are there any more questions from the audience? I was wondering, like when they actually like work in the company, so do they need to speak good English, or they can speak like maybe other languages? Because as you said, there is like a different languages in India, right? And people from different places. So is there some kind of like a rule that everybody must speak English to like high level, or how does it work there?
Yeah, I think in the official space, I think English is encouraged. Like for example, maybe in an IT company, you cannot go make a presentation. You have to make your presentations using the English language. But otherwise, I think if they're talking to each other, probably even if they're talking about work-related issues, if they are comfortable talking in their mother tongue, I think that's all right. I mean, there's no rule as such, but then I think in the office space, when they're either making a presentation or talking to their client or something like that, then they need to use English. But in one of the important, I think, things that when they come for placement tests, what is required for what they expect from the students is to have a good communication, to have good communication skills. So along with the technical skills, they are also testing the communication skills of the students.
Thanks.
So,
well, this is like really important. What we have here sometimes that we have international students, so they can do tests, like written test, right? And they can do things like that. But then we have this program when they actually like need to go and work in the industry for one trimester. So they find it very difficult because they just don't really speak much English. So and also companies don't really want to take undergraduate students who don't really speak much English. So because they find it like very difficult to communicate with them. So this is like one of the issues that we have with international students, those who just don't really practice English here. So they cannot really find any industry internship, even though this is like one of the requirements of the degree. So they have to do that. So, and we don't really know like what like to do, like how to solve this thing, because if the companies don't really want to take them because of their poor English skills, so that's always like a challenge for us to find something for them, like so that they can complete their degree.
yes, even our students go for a semester, I think, for internship. But so far, I've not come across any student having a problem because of English language ability. I think they manage completing their internship successfully here.
Amir was saying that it's also cultural barrier.
Yes.
I mean, that's probably true, because if students come from different countries, so they have different background, right? So some of
Yes.
them might be not, as like local students. Local students can be just so great, so cool and confident, and from other countries. But well, we do have like such a problem here. But I guess we just try to solve it as much as we can.
Martha, I
Yes,
have
yes,
a
sir.
comment. Do you have any feedback from students that you can share, either qualitative, Preferably qualitative, like some comments or something that you can
Um,
about
the thing is,
various.
okay, actually these are all the papers that I have worked on. So
Ah,
the feedback is there. Actually, it's all available on the. It's all online. So the feedback of the students are also put up there. But right now, I mean, I only have like verbal thing, but all the proof is, I've made use of them for my papers, my research papers.
oh, they
So
are all available.
storytelling, yes, they're all
Yeah.
available. So storytelling is one paper that I worked on. TED Talks is another paper that I worked on, and comics and graphic novels also is another paper that I worked on. So the feedback is all available in the research paper.
A part of that you could have reproduced. That would have really made this even more
Okay.
complete. Very interesting talk. Very interesting talk. In fact, yeah. Thank you, Martha.
Sure, sure. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Thanks, Mark. Um, to the audience, we have this survey. If you can, if you would like to provide the feedback for Martha, please. There is a link here. I put the link. So there is a form. It takes 1 minute. So if you would like to do that, please feel free to do it at any time. We would like to also hear your feedback. Are there any more questions? Okay, can I then just maybe ask the last question, the final question? Sometimes students, not only international students, also local students, they find it very difficult to write a technical report, right? So, well, we try to teach them as much as we can, but usually we kind of focus on, like, say, maybe like quizzes and tests. So we don't really provide them with lots of opportunities to practice report writing skills. So what do you do in your college? So do you have any program or like any courses where you actually like teach them how to write technical papers?
The thing is, we have, in part, we have what is called as 3 parts, part A, part B, and part C. So part C in the question paper carries 12 marks. So we teach technical report writing as part of this part C requirement. And usually what we do is we give them a paragraph writing. So when we do paragraph writing, I think to a certain extent this is taken care of because they have to also report writing we do. And so these are the different components that we do, which eventually when they put it together, they'll be able to write a good report. And we also have what is called as, we make them write different kinds of reports, like write an accident report. Then we do feasibility report writing. So these are the different types of report writing that we teach in our class. And then we also give them like a framework, and we tell them that follow this framework for your report writing. And I think they are able to produce good reports at the end of the day. So teach them all these little things, like we also have this active voice, passive voice. So when they write a paragraph, we tell them use passive voice to write this paragraph. When you do report writing, use passive sentence, or passive voice, use passive voice, things like that. So I think we teach them right from the beginning. We give them these lessons, and then at a certain point, when we think that they are ready, then we give them this report writing exercise.
Okay,
and
thanks.
also give them the template, or that a kind of a template, and tell them that look, write like this. If it's an accident report, use this template. If it is a feasibility report, use this template, and things like that.
Yeah,
I hope I
thanks.
answered your question.
Yes, you did. I mean, you also like try to teach them different things. I mean, that's what we're doing. Just, I'm not sure if we do enough, if we need to do more. Or, I mean, also like depends on students. If they don't read books, I don't think they can improve their English, right? Vocabulary, I believe. but we also don't read books. Well, okay. Well, thanks a lot. I guess there is no more questions. Then I will just conclude the session. Just first of all, again, want to thank you, Master, for your interesting presentation and sharing your experience. Would you
Yes,
would you
yes.
share a technical report template? Yeah, if you can share maybe technical report template so
Can
that we
I
can.
email you that?
Yes, of
Because
course.
I'll
Yeah,
have to
yeah, of
take
course.
that out.
You don't have to.
I will email. I can also share our syllabus with you, technical English syllabus.
Yeah, that
with
will
you.
be, yeah, just
And
like
this,
see like what you are teaching, and
yes,
maybe we can,
yes.
because we actually also teach our students when they come, we have international students when they come and join our program, we ask them, I mean, like, don't ask them, we're like, that's like one of the requirements, they take an English course. So for like one trimester, they take English course, if they're from like non-English speaking country. So that's what they do. Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see what you are teaching them and what kind of templates you use.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
well,
will share
thanks.
that.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for your time. Thanks for this interesting talk. And I would like to also thank the audience. Thanks for joining this webinar. I hope that will be interesting. It was interesting to you. And we'll probably see you next month. Next month we have another presentation, and I will send a mail to everybody. Thanks a lot, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Yeah.